All right, the time has come. So welcome KG Tan for and telling us about Unity 3D. Just take it away.
Thank you. All right. I guess I should start saying that I guess this talk is really about my general impressions about making a visual novel using Unity 3D. So it's specifically to my experiences. So I want to make that clear first before I start. All right. So yeah, just jumping right into it. In case you don't know what it is yet, I'm pretty sure you do by now. What is Unity 3D? I'll just go through it. It's a game engine. Generally used for Unity 3D games. It's more difficult to run by. I'm pretty sure we all know that already. But now this begs the question: why do I use it for visual novels specifically? Why did I use it for to make a visual novel game? So before I could actually go to that question, I kind of have to give a bit of background into Tin Man games and to myself. Otherwise, my answer wouldn't really make much sense. So I just kind of spend a minute on this. So Tin Man Games, we are a game development studio in Australia. We've been making digital game books since 2007, and you might ask the question, what is a digital game book? So it's best described as a choose-your-own-adventure game, but with stats and dice. So it has like an RPG twist on like a story game. So we've been making these games for a long time, but for some reasons that I won't go into, like we kind of have to expand out of this niche market that we've been doing for a long time. So one of the new things that we've been doing is this game called Choices, where it's basically a subscription-based choose an adventure where you get weekly content updates, and then we kind of went all out with the visuals in this game. This game is Warlock of Fire Mountain, which is a game book, but we kind of created an entire 3D world to go with it, and we kind of gave it a nice tabletop aesthetic as well. So we kind of So this is what we've been doing so far at Tin Man Games. We've been trying to expand out from what we were doing before, and one of the new things that we're expanding out into is as visual novels. So now that you know where we're coming from, I guess I can start answering the question. So why Unity 3D? So why did Tin Man Games, why did we choose Unity 3D? So there are a lot of reasons for this, but I guess the first and most obvious reason is that it's, I guess, already covered. It's a powerful and a very flexible engine, assuming you have the programmers to take advantage of it. And the other, slightly more important reason is that we kind of really need our engine to work with this content creation tool that we already have been using for our previous games, and we really like this tool, so we want to continue using this content creation tool. And the problem is that this tool is not immediately compatible with Rampy, so so we kind of have to make our own anyway. So we need programmers anyway to write a converter, no matter what. And thirdly, the most important reason I would say is that all our previous games were made in Unity 3D. And this means that our skill set is in Unity 3D. We are most skilled in Unity 3D, and also we also have a starting code base, I guess, in this engine. So yeah, these are all the reasons why we use Unity 3D. And I guess when I first started looking into it, the first thing I kind of wondered, oh, is there a Unity 3D plugin I can use? And I think John's already covered some of it, and you can kind of see here, like when I went to the asset store, basically in Uni, and searched visual novel plugins, and the result that came out, some of them are immediately obvious, and some others would call themselves fungus. I don't know why, but they're both pretty cool. I've kind of looked a little bit into both of them, and they're both free as well. So if you are making a visual novel using Unity for any reason whatsoever, if you're able to use these plugins, you should check it out. However, having said that, I have checked it out for us and found out that we had the same problem as before, which is that our content creation tool, does not work directly with these plugins. So either way, we have to kind of do things ourselves. So immediately, for some reason, I jumped to the conclusion where there's no other choice but to kind of make this visual novel systems from scratch with Unity. So I may or may not come to regret that decision. So you'll find out. So let's go to the, I guess I'll start explaining now what kind of the steps I've taken to create this visual novel subsystem. So I've started with a software engineering background. So I kind of do crazy things like plan a software ahead of time Like, who does that, right? So the first thing I did was I've thought about where's the starting point of this project, and kind of build up from there. And the starting point is immediately obvious for us anyway, and that is the content creator tool, because that's the thing that's causing us that forced us to use Unity from scratch in the first place. So I started from the content creator tool, and what does this content creator tool look like for us? I kind of put up the screenshot there. Now you can kind of see a blurry screenshot up there, and that's intentional because the content creator tool is actually proprietary. So I'm not allowed to share a clear image of it. So this is the best I can do. So what this content creator tool is, the idea of it is that it takes it allows writers, it allows editors, and it allows the cutscene makers to create content using this tool. And upload this content onto the cloud. And the idea is that this content creator tool is meant to be easy to use for these people, for the writers and editors. It's meant it's meant to be quite resistant to errors, and and these writers and editors will never have to touch Unity. So that's why we want to keep this. And the whole reason why we put it in the cloud is because the devices, the game themselves, on whether it's on mobile or desktop, it actually downloads the content directly from this cloud. So what this means is that the writers could actually jump onto this tool, fix a typo, and then the players who already has the game can actually get these typo fixes, kind of almost on the fly, which is a setup that we really liked, and that's why we really wanted to keep. So the first thing we did is that the first thing I did was that I had to create a content parser. I had to download this content from the cloud. And then I had to create a content parser in the game app. So I'm kind of I'm not going to go too much into this architecture because it can get really long and it can get really boring. So but I guess the first thing I did, I want to start off easy. So the first thing I did was to make sure that the content I've passed, all the stuff that I've received from the cloud, I want to be able to modify the game data from there. And when I say game data, I mean things like like where the player is, in this storyline, or whether are they in this branch of the story or that branch of the story. So this is all game data for me, and which means that this game data is also the save data. And because I want to make life difficult for myself, I've also decided to sync this save data, to synchronize this save data onto the cloud, which is which is a lot more difficult than you would think. So I spent some time with it, and I decided, okay, you know what? I'm gonna look for an asset store plugin. So that's the first thing I did. So I googled for cloud saves, I think, on the asset store plugin, and Cloud Ones was something that came up, I think, about a year ago, and they were pretty good. It's only $30. I really like how they named their app. It's a very well named plugin. The idea is that you have to implement this once, and then it should work on all the platforms, which I thought was very, very nice. So I got it, and I was initially very, very happy with it because it just works. The developers were quick to respond to any questions I had, and also because Apple and Google Play always have frequent updates, to their development kits, and Cloud Ones actually did a really good job keeping up with it, but unfortunately, after about a year, the developers abandoned this plugin. So what that meant is that I had to do work on it. After all, I had to spend a lot of time on making sure the cloud saves, the cloud synchronization works correctly. So either way, even though I had a plugin, my experience with it, I actually needed to do a lot of work on it anyway. Going back to the architecture, so if you look at this, you realize that I haven't even gone to the to displaying the visual part of the visual novel yet. This is just game data and cloud saves, and already I spent so much time and so much angst on this thing. So yeah, I'm going to fast forward a little bit because the rest of the thing is kind of long. There's so many, all these red bits that you see in this thing here, in this architecture. All these bits I had to write myself. So I was the only programmer on this visual novel project as well in Unity. So I had to write all these things myself, and it was a lot of work. And by now you'll probably wonder, I keep saying these words, a lot of work. You might wonder, is it even worth it? That I've used to use Unity at all? To make a visual novel, considering how much I'm complaining about it. Turns out, if you actually push through really, really hard and finish everything, you get rewarded, and this is a screenshot of the final result, I guess. And so you can kind of see that it does work. You can actually get a visual novel looking really nicely onto in Unity, but you actually get more things like you get more rewards like because it's Unity 3D. Suddenly, all the things I was talking about in the beginning about the power, about the flexibility, it actually comes to it can actually come through now. Now that I've finished the subsystems. So let me see if we can get this playing. I don't know if you can see this. Yeah, so this is the shaded stuff. So assuming you can see this and the frame rate is not too terrible. So what's happening here is that we have a bunch of layers, and we kind of do a bit of a mask blending between the layers to get this effect. So this thing is actually generated on the fly in Unity. Yeah, and this is so and then the other thing that we get, funny enough, with Unity 3D, we actually get 3D stuff. So this is we kind of turn our 2D background into a pseudo 3D background by just getting our 3D artists to create meshes, and then we just mapped our 2D texture onto it, and then this is how it turned out to be. So the final result of this is that we actually kind of get something that looks like this. It's like a pseudo parallax effect. Yeah, something that we can get just because just because we managed to do this, just managed to push through, I guess, in Unity. And then we also get a really good particle effect system that we can that's easy to use and something that I'm familiar with as well. So that's nice. So this is basically an example of a pop-up flying into the top right button, where it leaves a trail of stars, and then it highlights the button when it hits there. So it feels really good, and it's also really good user interface design because it draws the player's eyes onto where you want it to go, and it also it's kind of rewarding to look at it as well. So yeah, it's all these things you get to do just with Unity 3D if you manage to get past the initial difficulty. And some of the other things you can do, like I don't have screenshots in these bits, like cinematic effects. Like I use a little bit of tone mapping, for example. Like if you want to turn the entire screen into a sepia-like color, you maybe highlight some colors. Or maybe if you want to put a old, silent film, some 1940s not silent film effect kind of thing. Or maybe if you want to put vignettes and blurring, all these things you can do. With filters, and you can actually get this also from the Unity asset store, because this is actually part of the standard cinematic filters, standard cinematic shaders that Unity provides. So you don't have to write the shaders yourself. You can actually just download the shaders, dump it in, and then it just works. So this is what I did, and I really enjoyed that. So yeah, I kind of went a bit faster than I thought I would. So yeah, but that's okay. There's more time for questions then. All right, so to summarize, Unity 3D has a very, very steep learning curve, especially if you decide to, like me, for some reason, you decide to code up the initial systems from scratch. Then it can take a really, really long time, and you have to go through a lot of things just to get it working. But if you manage to finish that, initial subsystems, then it can be very rewarding, because then you can really do really cool things with Unity. And I guess, yeah, that's it for now.
Great. So we can head into questions now. I got one from someone who's asking, why do you call yourself technical designer and not programmer?
Hang on, technical designer? I don't have that term.
Oh, wait, who is that then? Why did this question come in late? Or I didn't notice it. Must have been for John. Okay. You can answer it, I guess. We have time.
I don't want to dive into someone else's time, but
yeah.
I'm a technical game designer because I am a game developer, or I am a game designer, but I lean on a technical slant. So I'm a game designer that can also program.
Okay.
And because of that, tech.
All right. There was a question earlier about IP. If someone could just repeat it so I can grab it out. Actually, no, you have access. You just ask it yourself.
Yeah. I'm just gonna look for the starting point of the questions and kind of go from there, if that's okay.
Yeah, go ahead. Just read out the question.
All
Oh,
right.
wow, we
Okay.
can
Let's.
see.
So many questions. All
Yeah.
right. Yeah. We definitely have an agreement. So this question is, did we have an agreement to get the Miss Fisher IP for the visual novel? And yes, we did have the agreement. Otherwise, we couldn't make it. Yeah.
Well, that doesn't stop some people, believe me. There's
Oh.
Ramsey Jordan and a Butter VN earlier. And sorry, I was the one that asked the question. I just popped into.
Oh.
So backing up
Yeah.
now.
Yeah. We kind of needed it because I don't think the company could survive sinking money into a project that cannot sell without legal troubles. Yeah, so Miss Fisher is Murder Mysteries is an Australian TV show, Australian-based TV show set in 1929, Melbourne, which is really really cool. So if you haven't watched it yet, you should watch it. Okay, so why I wanted to have safe data duplicated on the cloud? Um, it's it's just I implemented this actually when I was doing okay, because Miss Fisher, this game, if successful, it's planned to be a 5 episodic release kind of thing, which means that the game could potentially last for years, which means that people will switch mobile devices from time to time. And and because if they switch mobile devices, we don't want them to lose all the save data and stuff in the very beginning, or lose whatever progress or lose all the choices they've made from the first episode. And so I guess that's one of the reasons why we want the save data to be duplicated on the cloud, is that we want to ensure that as long as someone stays on the same platform, as in going from iOS to iOS or going from Android to Android, they have access to their previous save data even without even if they change mobile phones. And also if they switch between tablet and phone and mobile phones. Out of curiosity, you can all see that I'm looking at the Discord channel, right?
Yes, which is why I'm saying, oh no, all our comments are being recorded forever.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that.
That's okay. That's okay.
Well, I'm glad my Butter meme got in there.
Oh, someone's saying, how do you drive this script data request to your cloud scripts? You scroll past it. Oops, it's Thinkaman. It's right there.
Hang on.
Just
This one? Hang on. Sorry, it's 5 a.m. and I haven't slept in like 48 hours, so it'll take me a while to get.
You had just scrolled up past it.
Okay.
It's probably go down.
Okay, how do I drive script data requests to my cloud scripts? Could you clarify the question by any chance?
Oh, great. People are saying hi to the recording. Of course. What have I done? Oh, man. This has become a time capsule chat. Oh, he's typing. All right.
All right.
There it is.
All right, yeah, so let me pull up that slide again. Let's see if I can find it. This one, right? Yeah, what I do is that I actually have, I was kind of being a little bit lazy, so I kind of store everything in a single JSON format string, and then I just store the whole thing up, and then if there's an update, I just grab the whole thing and kind of sync between them. Obviously, if I want to do it right, I would kind of split it up a little bit, but right now, it's all in one single JSON that is sync in between. Yeah, so if I'm looking for, if I want to sync, it's just literally one variable. Oh, I haven't checked recently, but it doesn't go above, for Miss Fisher, it does not get very big. Like, I I think the biggest I've seen it so far is about say about 10, 20 kilobytes. It's tiny. Like before I updated as well, I kind of stripped out all the useless bits as well. So I did have some game data so I did. Yeah, I don't store all the game data. I just store the bits that I need to remember to when the next time I load the game. What were you talking about? How much time did it take to manually code all the systems? There's a very good question. It's very hard because Tinman Games is a company that does not work at a single game at the same time. We work in many different games at the same time. Like when I started Miss Fisher, I think I was working on 2 other projects then, and then by the time I finished Miss Fisher, I already started on like a few other projects by then as well. So it's a lot of overlapping projects happening at the same time. But a lot of the overlapping projects do have common code though, so it's very hard for me to estimate how much it took specifically for Vision Novel part itself. But I can tell you, it took me a very long time because, for one, it is something that we haven't really done before, so it is a new territory for us. That's why we go into it and then we had to test it. Yeah, and it's a lot of testing required to and each subsystem as well. There's so many. Different in file size when developing a game in Unity versus a game in Rampy or Tyranno. Okay, I can't really say much about Rampy or Tyranno because I haven't really made binaries and uploaded those binaries before. But in Unity, I know that the minimum size is about 50 megabytes. And this is about the same, depending obviously on the compression algorithms that you use for your art assets and your music assets and your sound assets. Yeah, Unity is always about 50 megabytes larger because they have like a bunch of DLLs that they have to include. So even if you compile a completely empty project and the project does completely nothing, and it would actually be 50 megabytes already. It's ridiculous. But depending on your Vision Novel games, like our Vision Novel, Miss Fisher, we have so many art assets and sound assets that it almost didn't matter which engine that we use because at the end of the day, the art assets and the sound assets is the bottleneck, is the one it's so big that that the DLLs of the engines, it's tiny in comparison. Like my current iOS build, right now it is about 600 to 700 megabytes. And I haven't even included all the art assets yet.
All right, well, we are just about done with time. There's like 2 minutes left, so I will pass the presenter mode on to our next presenter.